This in replay mode. Today, we're talking about all of the initials AI, IRL, so artificial intelligence in real life. And Stephanie and I wanted to take this opportunity today to talk to you guys about how we are actually using AI things in our business. And we may be joined by a special guest here after a while, which will be a lot of fun. But we're gonna hopefully dive deep. Hopefully, maybe give you some tips on how not only just what AI apps and sites that we're using, but even how we're leveraging it, and even what are we putting into it to get the things out that we're looking for, more thoughtful answers, etc. So working through those prompts, etc. So my name is Elizabeth Doss. I am a social media consultant. I dab in the world of social media engagement especially. I do content creation, but I love helping people come up with their own custom ways to be able to be able to acknowledge and interact with their communities in fun and exciting ways. And I do see that we are joined by a friend. So Richard, if you'll go ahead and introduce yourself and then hand it over to Stephanie to introduce herself, and she'll get us started in the topic today. So Richard, welcome.
Good afternoon from the future, which is both very topical, both in terms of time zones and AI. I'm a massive fan of both. I'm a convert. My name is Richard. I'm based in the UK, as you can tell by the accent and the dashing good looks. I am a business consultant, coach, mentor, and my job is to make other businesses stronger, better, faster. Anything you can imagine that Daft Punk would sort of rap and sing about, I do that. But delighted that you're talking about AI. I'm in the middle of going through some AI training at the moment, and it's really changed my mindset on this topic. So delighted to see you both from the future.
Wonderful to have you, Richard. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure you'll bring both the energy, a few laughs, and some tips to the conversation. Hello, everyone watching back on replay. I'm Stephanie Gillis-Polgard. I'm the brand architect behind Take Roots Consulting. I help small businesses, nonprofits, really step up their game when it talk about PR marketing strategies, starting the conversation online, taking it offline, and doing all of the things, including what social media and AI is. Well, it's here to stay. We know this. It's kind of like a few years ago when everybody's like, is this social media thing going to stick around? And what's it all about? Well, okay, now it's time to start. If you haven't already, consider how AI may make your life just a little bit easier. We're all trying to juggle. And at the end of the day, we all still have only that same 24-hour period. So what are we going to do? How are we able to leverage tools that are readily available to us? And that's what today's conversation is all about. So you've got I'm certainly no AI expert. In fact, dipping my toes in a lot of those tools that are available. And we're probably only going to literally skim the surface of what tools are available because they're coming out all the time. But already in our day to day, certainly the tools that I use as far as building content, I'm seeing more and more of it come to us, be readily available. And for those not so techie friends of mine, you're not alone. It's not that bad. And it's a muscle that we can continue to flex. So, all of that to be said, Elizabeth, I'm going to throw it over to you to start the conversation, and then we'll just keep going from there.
Yeah, sure. So a couple of things. I did want to mention that several of the AIs have started being able to have conversations with you out loud. So I love using this, especially if I'm running late and I don't have time to sit there and think through a prompt and write all these things in. So apps, if you download the ChatGPT app, there is a little button down in the right-hand corner that looks like a little speaker buttons. I didn't get everything ready, Steph, to share screens, etc. But this little black button right here in your chat GPT, if you touch it, she'll start listening to you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
And so you can have your I'm going to shut her up because she'll talk the whole time. She'll take over the whole thing, which is kind of the whole point. But same. So ChatGPT, it's an app. It's free for you to have those conversations. Same with Gemini, which is the Google version of that. So it actually, what I like about what it does is it gives you links. It gives its own little bibliography of the information that it's giving to you. They transcribe these whole conversations so that you can get all of that information in text form as well. And so ChatGPT does this in their app. Gemini does it in their app. Grok can do this as well, where you can converse with it. Meta AI is developing it because I was a part of a test program. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's hilarious. And I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but they send out this thing and let people be the voice and read these statements that are being inputted. But you could tell that whatever these search terms they were putting in were actual things that people actually were typing into Meta search, and some of them were oh my goodness. Anyway,
Did they make you swear?
Almost on a couple of them. I was like, I can't say that. Like, you could pass if you didn't want to say the thing that it was asking me to say. So, but I'm not doing that. Anyway, so it is developing into more conversational things. Now, I do know that, like, because my father is a retired pastor, and so he actually loves to talk to the AI, and he will give it context when he's having a conversation with it. He'll say, okay, I want to have a conversation with Paul, but you can only answer me in scripture. And he'll even ask, now pull in the teachings of, St. Augustine or something like this. And so it'll pull in the writings of these other ones. I think he's using Grok to do that one. But I did want to say there's a way for you to set up conversations with maybe some of your favorite heroes from the past, inspirational people, etc. So, we always talk about who would you want to have dinner with type of thing. Well, AI can actually set up that dinner for you. And so anyway, I have more ideas, but I didn't want to not mention that if you're not super techie in the word side of things, they are starting to develop the audio portion of it for you to be able to speak to it. Okay, so I will hand things over to you, Stephanie.
Well, first of all, that was the first thing that I thought of was the dinner conversation that you've heard over and over again at a party or in meetings, right? Like, who would you want to sit around and have dinner with? So that's kind of cool. I love it. I do think that it's important on that voice recognition piece, right? It's like, okay, if anybody has been using chat or scared to use chat and wants to like dabble in, this is the perfect opportunity now to use your voice to be able to say it. Oh, I want it to sound like me. It's gonna, like that energy. I always say, fully caffeinated Stephanie, go figure, as I'm sipping away on my only last day of the day, Richard, so don't be too scared. But that's the important piece, is regardless of what tool we're talking about now, I want to just caution everyone to know that, yes, it's true what you've probably heard about, the AI can hallucinate. It can pull out wrong information. It can generate lots of things that are not real. So please, regardless of how you decide to use it or implement it into your business, you have to go back. Make this your own. Talk about real case studies that maybe you've worked on or you've seen examples of. Check the facts before you post it. Just again, cautionary measures should always be taken. Don't go and show, put something out there that it's your own and not do the double checking. That does not speak to credibility of who you are. It's okay, put the disclaimer in, hey, I've been playing around with AI and I asked it this question and this is what it generated, or I got it to take a look-see at my website or my Instagram profile and suggest some recommendations. Completely fine. In fact, embrace the tools, make your life a little bit easier. But yes, throw out that disclaimer from time to time, because it actually helps with that credibility. There are a few other things that I have been kind of playing with or dabbling with. But before I hit up some tips and tricks, Richard, you alluded to the fact that you're in the middle right now of doing like some AI training. I would love to hear more about that. So I want to pass it over to you to give us some insights as to what you're learning these days.
Well, this one you're going to really like. There was a couple who were having an argument on WhatsApp, and they put the entire argument into ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT who's in the right. Now, if you ever needed a reason to try AI, that I thought was the number one reason. And
Who was right? I need to know.
do you know, the person who was delivering the training refused to say, which would lead me to think that it could have been, well, either of them. But this is a really good one to experiment with. I think what's really interesting with AI is it is an amazing opportunity, and we have to get on board now, otherwise, we're going to be left behind. I think what's really interesting is when I see people's posts on social media that are completely done by AI, and I think there's this little bit where I see through it. However, this is not just about social media, it's how we use it in our everyday life. So I'm going to put a few links in the chat. First of all, there's a wonderful person I know called Summer, who I worked with, who's created like a list of all the different AIs, and it's an incredible list. So I put it in the chat. But I also learned this incredible piece of tool for looking for customers. So obviously, one of the things that we're often looking for is clients. And there is an incredible piece of software, AI software, called Ocean.io. And I'm not sure if I can live demo it, but what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat. And what you would do is they encourage you, and you can buy the full version or you can do it for free, as you can with most of these bits of tech. What's really interesting with Ocean.io is go put in your best customer into it. Go and put their URL into it, and then it will give you the next 50 people that are similar to them. And it will also give you the contact. It is amazing. And what I think is really interesting with AI is everybody will tell you their favorite tools. My wife is a big fan of Claude. No, it's not her boyfriend, it's her AI tool. He does sound very French. But Claude AI is very popular. I use a mixture of ChatGPT to help me formulate things. And one of the other tools that I've discovered that I've kind of really, I found it on this course, is something called Gamma App. I don't know if you've heard of this one. And what's really amazing about Gamma App is it's going to change the way we do presentations, because you can go into Gamma App, and again, I'll put the link in the chat, and you can put in the title of a presentation, 3 or 4 things that you want to say, and it will do you an entire presentation in 2 minutes. Now, I think it's similar to what you were saying with Post, Steph. You can use Gamma, you can use Ocean. These are amazing tools. I mean, game-changing tools. But if you just take it as done, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. You have to make it your own. Now, I'm still playing with this, and I'm really, really early stages with this. And there's going to be people that have got more experience. And again, there's a lot of talk about the Microsoft tools and everything else that are out there. I think what's really interesting, what the course is really encouraging us to do, is go play. And what I love about this is with the Ocean, for instance, amazing tool for prospecting. And we all know how expensive LinkedIn is. Gamma, an amazing tool for presentations. And for me, the way I see AI is, and can do a lot of the heavy lifting, and then it's up to you to finesse it. And I think the real skill with AI for most businesses is not being able to write AI. I mean, look, if you're a tech genius that can do all the coding, good on you, you're going to make loads of money. But I think for us as individuals, to me, it feels like having a digger. What you need to learn is how to operate it so you can dig really great holes. And for me, the real skill with this is learning to write great prompts. It's learning that it is not all about just copying and pasting what you get. It's about putting that thinking in. And for me, it's just the same as operating a digger. So if we want to make our businesses easier, instead of getting that spade and digging, we operate a digger. We need to become really good digger drivers. So I put in the chat a couple of digger tools, but the way we need to think about it is how can we become really good drivers? Because all of a sudden, our lives can become a lot easier. And that's what I've
That's
learned from the
it,
course
Rich.
2 weeks in.
Yeah, 2 weeks in. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is, all the writing proper prompts, being able to refine
Yeah.
it after it has gone ahead and spit out whatever the answer is or that piece of copy or content that you're looking for. It's how do you refine it? And then, of course, doing that double checking that we talked about. I was taking some notes. I know that you've dropped lots of links in the chat, so thank you for that. One of the tools I use on a regular basis. Elizabeth, I know you use it. Richard, I believe that you and your team have used it as well. Canva, it's one of those things that I've been using it now for I think 8 years, maybe longer. But it, of course, has built-in AI ability to it, right, for generating images and things like this. So just these are friendly reminders that you may already have a tool in your toolkit
Yeah.
that you're not fully leveraging yet, and to be able to take the time to play. And that is the key, right? So that it doesn't feel as overwhelming. We're not going to be experts at it. I don't even, dare I
Steph,
say it, usually
you know,
like the word expert at all. I think
you
that
know
we
the
are
movie
all,
Avatar.
pardon me?
You know the movie Avatar with the blue
Yes.
people, right? The way I see AI is, you remember when they landed on the planet Pandora and he jumps into his avatar suit and he keeps bumping into things with his kind of clunky blue ways. That's how we are with AI at the moment. We're the kind of clunky, we've just landed and we don't know what we're doing. The more we play, the stronger we'll get at it. And I think that understanding of it for me has really, really helped, because I think there's this little expectation where everybody needs to be perfect on day one. Doesn't happen.
Right. And back to your point about the input, because this was a point I really wanted to make. We were listening to a gentleman talk the other day on the digital hospitality thing, and he gave us the instructions, and it's really helped my prompt making. That when you start a conversation with a heavier AI like Open AI or Gemini or one of these others that can handle a lot more text based. You need to have about 450 words that describe the thing. So describe the business, describe the event, describe the personality, but have a really weighted description part. And then after that, ask your question. A lot of people start off with their question, they dabble into explaining the thing, and then they come back and ask something else. Like, I mean, while we love your flow of consciousness, you can really confuse an AI in trying to help it out. And so the more structured you can be in that, and actually, you can ask the AI to ask you questions to get to know you in that. Now, ChatGPT and several of the others are starting to experiment with persistent memory that helps the AI remember your conversations. And so I do want to let you know, but it's very limited at the time. So a lot of times it's better if you remind the AI at the beginning of any prompt what the business is, et cetera. You can use this for clients before you do a pitch or you do a first conversation. You can actually spy on your potential client or your competition, and type in what is, and this is something we learned from Scott Turner, what are 5 things about Richard Lieberman of Richer Solutions and his beliefs, and it will spit
Oh, you've
out.
not done that, have you?
I have actually.
Oh no, now I'm scared. You see, I was going to hit you up with one that I've got a very good friend in the UK called Helen, and she was saying something similar about the quality of prompts. Not about me, by the way. Just don't look at that. And what I'm putting in the chat is a link to a Forbes article, and they give you 4 or 5 long form prompts that you can put into ChatGPT, and it will ask you questions about your business and help you develop a strategy. And I think what's really, really go play, because I've done this and I've gone playing with this. And I think what's really, really interesting is so many people are jumping straight to AI to create their social media. Throttle back, have a little play, but have a think about how it can help you with the heavy lifting and the thinking. The longer form prompts that you're talking about, Elizabeth, that get you the better answers are absolutely what we should be learning to do. And that's why I put the Forbes article in there. And I challenge you, Elizabeth, to do this for your business.
Oh, it looks like the challenge has been accepted, Richard. So I want to know. I'm going to pose a question to both of you. This is something that it's another tool. I have not been able to play with it yet. I have another one that I'll talk about in just a moment that I have been able to play with. But Jasper AI. Have either of you played with it? And so I've got one nodding yes, one shaking no, not yet. Richard, since you are the one nodding yes, I would love to hear your thoughts on that tool and how you might have used it, and if it's still in your toolkit.
I used it when it first came out. It actually randomly appeared on Clubhouse, rest in peace, Clubhouse. And there was, I tried it, and for me, I found it a little frustrating. And I think there's this little bit where I'm always careful with what I recommend these days, and I'll talk about it from my experience. I didn't really enjoy Jasper. I know other people have. Somebody recommended to me one called Pi.ai, which is it's a bit softer and a bit more ethical, but it just depends on what works for you. I was at a conference 3 weeks ago, a tech conference, Elizabeth. I know I'm changing. There's and what was really interesting, there was somebody on stage, Steph, that used 16 different AIs a day. And I was there, and I was just sat in the audience going, whoa, I struggle with 3 or 4. But I think there's that little bit as consumers, we need to find the one that's right for us. And like I said, lots of people have Claude, lots of people have Chat GPT. We kind of got to find the one that suits us. And for me, it goes back to that experiment and play. Jasper didn't work for me personally, but I'm sure it will do for others.
Thanks for that, Richard. And you're right. I mean, what's going to work for me may not work for you or Elizabeth. And one of the new ones that I've had the pleasure of literally playing with is bolt.new. And boy, oh boy, that's a powerful, powerful tool. Actually, myself and the team, the whole team at Edmonton Unlimited, we sat in a room for like 30 minutes, and we were given a challenge, and we were partnered up in very small groups, 2 or 3 people. We were given some challenge ideas, if you will, and then they were said, oh, but you're not limited to that. Think about your everyday work and a challenge that you have and try to solve it with bolt.new. And it was amazing. It built full websites. It had tools brought in, which would then segment audiences, be able to do a matching component. We had it build out a whole area of events. Because again, that was one of the areas that we were trying to see if we could fix or refine in our own website. It was absolutely amazing. So then the next morning, and again, no background in coding, understanding, but certainly playing with AI now for a couple of years. And I decided at about 6 a.m. pre latte, I was going to jump on bolt.new myself. And within 15 minutes, I had built a chatbot, pardon me, for my website, fully branded, and now it's going to be deployed onto my website. So it is amazing what you can do now. Bolt.new uses tokens, so you get so many tokens for free to get you started and play, and then of course you can do that. But then yes, it will give you a full deployable URL to then take and do what you wish. So again, what I encourage, as you already said, Richard, is to get in there and play and think about the challenges that you have in your everyday life or in your business to be able to utilize AI and refine those prompts. Because I love what you said, Elizabeth. And yes, it was prompted, I think you said by Scott Turner, that, the deeper, the more structured the prompt, the better. Because yes, we can confuse the AI tool if we give it too much loosey goosiness. We have to give it some structure to work within. But the beautiful part is as you say, you can, put in www.takeroots.ca and say, review my website and see if it answers these 3 things, or give me suggestions on whatever, and sit back and watch. And about 30 seconds later, it's got a list of ways to improve your site. It's amazing. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to hit the ground running with this one. I did want to mention that the other day I was using, I think it was Chat GPT or Gemini, I can't remember, but I was using the conversation feature. I was running late to a video shoot. And I'm saying this specifically to Richard, to Stephanie. If you know that you're going to be on location somewhere, you're going to be at an event or something that you know that you need to get content for, but your brain, you can't even think of it. You can jump in there and have this conversation with ChatGPT, whether typing or by voice. And I told it, I said, okay, I'm about to go to this video shoot. I'm shooting video video of this dog downtown. I need ideas for shots to make sure that I get so that I can tell the story of what the client is wanting. And so it did a great job. Like, it broke it down, and I said, okay, but I need it to bridge into this idea because this is the point of the video. And so it came up with a couple more ideas of, well, make sure you try to get video of the dog doing this or of someone doing that. And so it actually gave me that list, so I didn't have to go unprepared. So like whenever Richard goes back to the House of Lords again, if he needs if he needs new ideas, he can have that conversation and say based off of the pictures that people take, where should I go to get some of these great images? But I wanted to very quickly just share my screen because Stephanie and I talked about this one. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Stephanie has access to this one currently in Canada, but and Richard, I don't know if you have this as well, but in Meta AI. So I'm currently in the back end of my Instagram. Up here at the top, you're going to see Ask Meta AI or Search, and you can actually talk to it here, it looks like, too. But I'm going to go ahead and click the blue button. You can see here that I said, imagine me outside a Victorian boutique, and there I am. But if you go into Meta AI and type backsplash, and you see here it's prompting me either imagine to describe any image, but if I type in imagine yourself, it can create AI generated image of me. And what it does, it'll say, if you haven't mapped your face yet, it'll jump in here and say, I don't know what you look like. And so then it'll ask you to hold the camera at like certain ways, but I can type in imagine me making candles, because we always talk about candle makers in here. And so it'll take that prompt and it will go in. So you can type in different things. And I've used this for cover photos on some of my posts on Instagram, etc. You know, it still has the little AI thing down in the corner, but it takes my face and it puts it in this place. And so I just wanted to let people know that you may already have access to this one in your phone. So check it out. So it's / imagine yourself or imagine me, and it will prompt you to let it map your face to be able to create some of these pretty cool things. So I'm going to hand it back to you guys. Oh, what do you have?
As you were doing the demonstration, I just followed the prompts and I asked it to imagine me as a USA citizen. You ready for this?
Tilt it down just a little bit. Oh my God. That's hilarious. But did it ask you to?
Still do not have that feature. And
did it ask you to map your face, Richard?
Nope. I did it. I said, imagine me as a USA cowboy, and that's what came up.
That's funny.
Gotcha.
That is so funny. Yeah, no, I check on a regular, and I still don't have it. So sometimes you get the features early, and sometimes you have to sit and wait. That's just the joy of this whole thing.
I would also recommend checking Meta AI search on Facebook as well, because I wonder if it might have it on that side too. Anyway, I will hand it back to you, Steph.
No, Elizabeth, I'm going to throw it right back to you because I'm going to get you to explain to everybody that as we talk about tools, whether it's during today's conversation that we're getting ready to wrap up or future, what should they do if they don't see the features in their Meta accounts right now?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, for instance, I manage several social media accounts, and I've noticed the interface has changed on my personal account. Like, messages is no longer up in the corner, it's down at the bottom now. But when I go over to my clients' accounts, it's still in the upper corner, which is wild that even within the app, it's saying, well, you have access to this, they don't have access to this, because they have theirs set up as a business account, mine is set up as a creator account. So that might be another way to do that. But there's three things that you need to do if you're not seeing some of the new features that you're seeing people talk about. One is you need to make sure that your Instagram app is updated. So go to the App Store and search for Instagram, and sometimes it'll say open, which means you're good to go. But if it says update, then you need to click update on your phone. Sometimes you have to update your software on your phone itself. Like that's, so you need to go into settings, into the general area and it will say software update. You need to update it there. But you also may need to shut down the Instagram app, which if you swipe slowly up, you should be able to force quit it by swipe slowly up. You'll see all your apps and you can just throw them off the top of the screen like this. Here, I'll just do it real quick if nobody's ever seen this. If you swipe up slowly, it'll pull up all your apps like this, and you just push them off the top of the screen and you could shut them down because you may have multiple apps open in the background. So one more time, Richard, do you need me to do it one more time? You're good. Okay. I didn't know you were being very responsive. Like, oh, so I appreciate that.
No, I just realized how many apps I had open. Just had immediate sense of guilt for both my own brain and the iPhone's battery.
Right, exactly. And it is a good way to save battery because some of those are running in the background and stuff. So, and then the final thing is to shut your phone off and turn it back on. So I guess that's 4 things. Update Instagram, update your phone, shut Instagram down, force quit it and reopen it, and also turn your phone off and turn it back on. And so that's, if you're not seeing certain features, that is a great way for you to find them.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for all those friendly reminders. And I know that there's probably people that are sitting there going, okay, yeah, but I'm scared I'm going to lose all my drafts. Because remember when it was quite glitchy and they would go ahead and they would be really proactive and maybe batch create some content and have a whole bunch of reels, and then they would magically vanish if they went to update. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but hey, I've been known to lose a few, and that's okay, because if I didn't post them by now, chances are they were just going to sit in my drafts for a very long time. So that's something to think about. Well, we're coming up on our time where we have to say bye-bye for this week. Richard, thanks so much for popping in and sharing. Any final thoughts, challenges, homework you want to throw out before we pass it over to Elizabeth to close us out for this week?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My AI course I'm running through an organization called Small Business Britain in the UK. There's over 300 people on it every week. And I think there's that little bit where we all need to learn how to be digger drivers. And what's better than getting a digger than playing with a digger? So I think it's all a case of we all need to go play. The other thing to say is I have a piece of AI on my computer. I've been recording this conversation. I'm going to get it to do a summary, and I'm going to send it to you two for your social media. Have fun, go play.
Thank you, Richard. Elizabeth, please close us out on this fine Tuesday.
Yeah, sure. So that's something that I really talk about. I know this, so sorry if this takes a second, but I do use AI a lot to reformat content that I collect in different ways. For instance, Richard is going to send me the transcript and the summary that the AI that's taking notes for him is going to do, but I can take that piece of content and head over to ChatGPT, et cetera, and I can say, okay, make a carousel for me from this post and suggest images for each slide, and it will break that down for you by slide. So I've done this for real estate agents. I'll give the description of the property that they have, and I'll say, now make a carousel from this description and give me a storytelling, like inviting someone into that space, and then suggest the image that I should attach to it. And so I will compile those things and go into Canva, and pull a photo of the living room and say, imagine yourself with a cup of coffee on an early morning with a fire roaring and like all the stuff where you can pull them into that moment. But I'm taking a piece of content that already exists, asking it to remake it into a different piece of content, and make suggestions for the images. And I've done that for Stephanie and I as well. When we're creating our content, I'll ask it to do SEO, YouTube SEO specifically for titles, but also give suggestions for what some of the images could be. In fact, today's room made me laugh because it said you could make the image like completely ridiculous. Stephanie, I need to send you the ones I didn't use, because the one I chose is actually pretty subdued with the hidden kitten in it, and
they're the ones the people want to see.
They are.
How many times has Steph told us, put the crap out there, the really stupid ones, because they'll make Elizabeth post it. You need to.
Yeah.
That's going to be part of our replay. There you go.
There we go.
Like this. thumbnail, check out.
Right. I had one of Stephanie and I on a unicorn with coffee and like phones, and like we had 4 arms. Like it
Did
started
you
to
give the AI some mushrooms when you prompted it?
exactly. So, but I'll use it for cover images, etc. To try to help stop the scroll. In fact, most of our cover images are AI generated. If you go back on our YouTube channel or other things, I've created these images in whether it's in. I think the one that we used for today was actually from Grok, because it does more realistic photos. And that's the other thing is as you use the image generators, you're going to find out which ones do more realistic looking ones. Even Meta AI is a little bit more on the realistic, kind of. I mean, it's still illustrative, but Canva AI is very cartoony, and it even has settings where you can change the aesthetic of it after you've put the prompt in. You can have it in 2D, you can have it in claymation, you can have it in these different ways, and they have a different way, like almost filters, where it'll repurpose that. So I do like that Grok now you can choose a photo that it gives you. Like once you've done the first prompt, you can choose that one and say, now change this in that photo, which a lot of them restart from the beginning every time. And what I do like about that persistent memory side of things is you can find the one that you like and have it start tweaking that side of stuff. So anyway, I'll stop. Obviously could go on because I do play with this a lot. I mean, Richard, when you said I use 6 AIs a day, I'm like, actually, yeah, that sounds right, because I use them for different reasons. Oh, sorry, really quickly though, I did want to jump back. In the last 2 weeks, ChatGPT has added 2 buttons on the bottom of the chat prompt that I do want to point out that you can toggle on and off. One, it says reason, which means it's going to do a deep, when you toggle that on and you send your prompt, it's going to take more time to think through its answer before it gives you that answer. There's also now a search button beside the reason button, which is doing what Gemini does, where it gives, which I love, it's basically a bibliography. They give you a little link that basically tells you this is where I pulled that information from, which is something that a lot of people, get irritated with, that ChatGPT is just stealing, but it's just not, it's not making reference to its original poster. And so now you can toggle that on so you can find out where did ChatGPT get this information, and it'll give you those search parameters. So play with those, toggling them on and off to see if you get different answers in those things. Stephanie, I'm going to hand things over to you to close us out today.
I think what I've learned in just these last 4 minutes is that this conversation needs to continue. so, so what I'm suggesting right now is I want to invite everyone, whether they were here live, watching on the replay, you've gone through, there's lots of links in the chat. We've given some tips, some tricks, some things to try and play with. So we want to encourage you to play and then come back. And I think we'll revisit this conversation in a couple of weeks' time and see what else did we find, what else did we learn. And by that time, Richard will be 4 weeks in to his AI training, and he'll come back and share even more, or at least I hope that we will be able to convince Richard to come on back and join us. You can meet us back here live across, we're streaming on lots of things these days, whether it's Riverside, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And sometimes we win on Facebook, although sometimes it gives us some challenges. So every Tuesday you can meet us here for Cultivate Weekly. I don't know what the topic is for next week, so stay tuned. But again, it is at 10 a.m. Eastern. Oh, sorry, 10 a.m. Mountain, 8 a.m. No, 10 a.m. Eastern. 8 a.m. Mountain. I am doing the Jess Wilson dive around on the time zone. So apologies, everyone. But yes, every Tuesday, find us here and go out and play. Tag us if you are playing with any of the AI tools. We would love to hear what you're working on these days. AI to create next week's topics. Maybe that's what we will do, Richard. Absolutely. So thanks everyone for joining us. Cups up as always. Happy Tuesday to you all, whether it's tea, water, or a latte, which is at the end. Wishing you all a great week. Bye-bye for now.
Und we are